What's going on, Ride the Wave Nation? I'm Jake Seymour, and I'm joined as always with Caiden Bodak and Matt's Lane. But today we have a special guest coming back. Is GRD, Green Run Steve. GRD, how we doing?
We good. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Doing good.
Great.
So guys, we got a bunch of topics to go through in this episode, but first we got to start with GRD. GRD, you've had this amazing Celtics page over the last, that's to be 5 years now, right? And it's been a while. I mean, I've been following you since like middle school, and I'm going to be a senior in high school next week. So I know you've been around the block for a long time. So how did this whole page start?
First things first, I look at myself as a mentor, and I look at myself as I saw young fans, and it was fans in Boston, fans around the globe that weren't able to go to games and stuff. And my page originally started out, I was showing people what it was like to go to every single Celtics game. And I did this during the season where they were tanking. This was when their Celtics were terrible. All my friends that are season ticket holders canceled all their season tickets, and I capitalized. Instead, I chose to go to every game. I used to go sneak into the buffet places in the Garden and show people, flex on people when I used to pay like $30 a ticket. I don't know. I used to think it was fun. And then I just posted stupid videos on Instagram little by little, and it caught on. I started posting like memes and stuff, acting stupid. And it kind of just like little by little, that mixed with like a little bit of comedy, I think it like caught on.
So how did you get started with season tickets? I remember, I don't know if this was sarcasm or not, but like maybe last year you made a post and it was like, I told my teacher I wanted to be a Celtics season ticket holder when I grew up. Like, is that true? Did you always have your sights set on that?
So when me and my friends were all in high school, we used to go and we camped out overnight before the Celtics tickets went on sale for the season because we couldn't afford season tickets. And basically, when you slept outside at the Garden at the ticket box office, you would have the option to buy every single game of the season for $10 each ticket. So me and all my friends used to buy 2 tickets to every single game. So in my head, I've been a season ticket holder since I first had my own money. Since I was 16, we were doing that.
Wow. So they had that and season tickets?
No, I didn't have my own season tickets at that point.
No, those didn't count as season tickets. Like for them, they had another option too.
Because that's just a box office special. Like, oh, let's reward these fans. They have the cheap seats. They were like the worst seats in the Garden. Like probably row 14, 15 in the corner, like behind the 2 baskets. But for us, it was a ticket in there, and we didn't have to risk getting arrested sneaking in like we used to do in the past when we didn't have money. But yeah, like we just jumped on those tickets. Little by little, we would start paying homeless guys to stand in line for us. Then all of a sudden, instead of having 2 tickets to every game, there was one season where I had 40 tickets to every single home game. And basically, me and Babs fat ass used to post on Craigslist. We probably made between I would say $25,000 to $30,000 profit doing that shit. Jesus. And we use that money to reinvest it and buy more tickets, do more stupid shit. And that was like our little kid stuff that we did. And after high school, I was able to purchase my own season tickets, and I started upstairs in the balcony, 321 row 9, and now I'm like, Lane, you know where we're at now.
Right behind the net, row 2. Yeah.
Started from the top, now we're at the bottom.
Some of the best seats I've ever sat at in the Garden.
Will you stay there, you think? Or do you think you'll eventually move to center court?
I mean, I don't know about... I'm on the wait list. I would like to get courtside tickets. That would be nice. Lane, what would you say the GRD game day experience? What do you think about it? We had fun at that game.
It was one of the best experiences I've ever had. I'm not a huge, obviously, Celtics fan or basketball fan, but I'll say it's grown on me since I've been to games with you. Just to see someone who's an exciting fan like yourself really bring that experience to someone like me who's just a sports fan in general. It's a lot of fun, and the Celtics definitely have grown on me, and I do enjoy going to games. So,
bro, it's like such a stupid thing in my head. Like, once I sit in my seats that are down low, it kind of ruins the whole entire experience, because every time I sit in like maybe seats 10 rows back, I feel like I'm out of the action. Whereas my seats now, I feel like I could yell at the players, they could hear me. My seats used to be behind Wick Grossbeck, and this guy used to tell us to be quiet and stuff, the owner of the Celtics.
Yeah.
and Lucky's usually right there too, which is crazy.
I might trip his ass.
Have you ever had any like interactions with players since you're so close, like yelling at them and they yell back, or?
I told Dwight Howard last year that I like girls without dicks.
I remember the one, the Jimmy Butler one. It was like, Jimmy, you're gonna look good in green next year, and he gave you like that little smile.
Damn,
Remember
I
that
was
one?
wrong about that though.
That was a cool one. So those players, though, some of them can be real chill, although it's are kind of like really tense up. I mean, like LeBron. I remember seeing LeBron. I put my hand out, and he just stopped and just looked at me and walked away. I was like, all right, cool. Like, thanks. But
I mean, it is what it is. Like, I don't like to openly disrespect players and like talk shit to them. I like to say like funny things because I follow a lot of the players on social media. I know like funny jabs at players that won't like ruin their day. It might make them laugh. Like that's my goal. I'm not there to like say, yeah, I don't like the 76ers, but I'm not there to tell Embiid like, hey, fucking like some racist shit or some you suck at basketball. I could care less about that. I'd rather like do something like silly rather than like hate these days, you know?
that's someone
Well,
that's
what
always
if it was Kyrie?
If it was Kyrie, bro, I would just tell that guy he don't want that Boston smoke. Like, that's basically how I look at Kyrie's situation. Like, I look at him like he's kind of a coward. Like, he puts his tail in between his legs. He definitely, his favorite position, he'd probably rather, like, be on the bottom and letting the girl do the work. For sure. Because that dude does not know how to be a dominant force, I'd say.
So your page has always been like this, making memes and stuff. I mean, I know you've influenced a lot of that stuff because I'll just be walking in the hall at school and I'll hear someone, it'll be a Celtics game day. I'm like, someone will just say, "Oh, it's Boston Celtics game day," and then their tongue thing happens, like you always do. So, I mean, your page has always been about that. It's something that I always like because I mean, I'm scrolling through stories and people posting whatever, and then you get to GRD story and there's always something good on there, whether it's Celtics game day or. I remember like when Horford left, I think you posted a video of someone pissing on his jersey. Like that was something that made me chuckle.
I remember that.
I mean, the cool part about my page is I feel like you could literally go into every single day life and relate something back to the Boston Celtics or back to basketball. Like, I've transformed, like, remember when that movie was coming out on Netflix, Bird Box, when you had to wear the towel over your face, you couldn't go out? Like, you could just make a meme like that and put it over your face. Me, when I go watch the Celtics go face the Cleveland Cavaliers, like, you know what I mean? Like, stupid memes. That one wasn't even funny. But I just used to, like, relate every single thing I did back to Celtics and just post it on my account. And there's hoop heads out there that eat it up because they relate things the same way as people like I do, you know?
Jake mentioned people knowing your account in his school. I have the same experience at my school. My school's obviously a lot smaller than Jake's, but even when they go to games, they like see you and stuff, and like, oh, I saw GRD, whatever. And so like Silver Bullet, he paints his face. He's pretty recognizable. But you have 60-something thousand on Instagram, and you kind of are just like a regular fan. You don't have any you don't dress up. And fans still know who you are and still recognize you. How is that at games? Do you kind of got to watch yourself, or like, do you just kind of be you?
I mean, so that's what comes back to you. Like, you always have to be careful about what you post on the internet because, yeah, there are negative people out there. Like, for me, everything I post on the internet is a joke, but everybody else doesn't take it in as that sometimes. And I've gotten into conflicts, but very few people have come up to me in a negative way. Like, most, like, I would say 99.9% of the people that I've met have been positive people, like, just laughing about, like, silly shit that I've done. dude, for you guys to say that shit about your schools, like that shit is like a cool feeling. I've been to like my little cousin's like Central Catholic football game, and like the whole other team that they were playing like stopped and they were like, "What the hell? This guy GRD's at their game and stuff." So like, there's been like cool moments like that. I never thought like just doing stupid shit on Instagram would translate into that, but like I'll go to a mall in Boston and get like stopped by people, or people take pictures of me and then send them to me. It's kind of silly, but.
I mean, when I went to games with you, that's what happened. They'd stop, say hi, take a picture with you, talk for a little minute, and then move on. But that was most of the people that recognized you at the Garden.
I didn't answer Caiden's question. Like, I don't want to go to the game and dress up. Like, I don't hate on people that wear costumes or face paint to the game. But me, I'm kind of like too self-conscious for that. I like to wear something like that I like to wear every single game. I don't know.
But you're still recognizable though. People still recognize you. Do you wish people didn't go up to you all the time and you just kind of got to enjoy the game?
It's actually funny. Like, you could look at that both sides. Like, I could just sit in my seat, but sometimes I do like to walk around and I like to link up with friends and stuff. But like every year I do go to a game and I wear like a really low sitting hat and like I don't look like myself, and I try to see if like people will recognize me. And like I'll post about it on Instagram and stuff, and like people will come up to me still. It's kind of funny, like just to joke around.
I mean, yeah, I know, your page is very influential and a lot of people love doing it. So, you're doing something good on Instagram, which is always cool to see a big fan page like that have a big influence on a sports team. We got to get back into basketball now. Basketball's coming back.
Wait, hold up. That was a really good transition, but I have one more question before we move on to the topic. GRD, you chew the five green gum before every game? And why 5? What has 5 done that? Like, why not extra? Why not Orbit? Why not Trident? Like, why 5?
So to be honest, 5, I kind of look at that as the most luxury gum because it's the most expensive. I don't know why I chose 5.
I know why he chooses 5 gum, because the wrapper tastes better.
Oh yeah, this guy eats it. Nah, to be honest, any kind of gum that's green, I'll eat it on game day. But if you come with some juicy fruit, I might slap the shit out of you later. Some people try to be funny out there, bringing Big Red when we're playing the Raptors. I'll burn your house down.
That's something like the green gum. I remember you always post on the story, someone be like, "Oh, go grab me a pack of gum," and then they'll come back with a non-green gum on a game day. You'll be like, "What the hell is this?"
We don't play that, Jake.
But going back to NBA basketball coming back July 31st. So obviously we're coming back. Celtics, they're in the mix. Very possible they could get that second seed because the Raptors have a very tough schedule. I believe they face Milwaukee, LA, Boston, I think a couple times, and Philly, I think too. So GRD, what are the Celtics' chances to not only getting the second seed but winning the whole thing?
First things first, I don't care what seed they have because I feel like the home court bullshit is thrown way out the window.
Yeah.
Hard schedule, this, that. I don't think anybody can really tell the schedules, bro. I feel like once this season restarts, I feel like the whole league is up in arms. Nobody knows who the favorite is. Like, it's all gonna be on what players rise to the occasion. Like, will a guy like Jason Tatum take that next leap that he's already taken this year to another one when the playoffs start? I don't think these regular season games that they're gonna play are gonna be like they're not gonna really try to win every single game. I feel like it's gonna be more of like experimenting with rotations, like maybe like skimming down and getting your best like 7 players out there for way more time than they were out there for before. But when it goes down to the playoffs, bro, it is what it is. It's gonna be the youngest team with the most experience, which is the Boston Celtics at the end, and I don't know who they're going to face out west. That's going to be a tough matchup. But there's no way that Giannis and this other clown, what's his name, Middleton, are going to hold up through this playoffs. There's no way the Boston Celtics are coming out of the East.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Jalen Rose, he came out and said it's kind of like a playground game. And if he has to pick anyone, he's picking the Celtics because they have everything that checks off on a playground game. So, I think the Celtics could make it to the finals this year, but also I want to phrase it like this though. I'm a little upset. This is how it has to happen. Like the first time we're gonna get to the finals is all this, and it kind of put like a little asterisk next to it. I feel like, which kind of sucks. But I think the Celtics have a good shot at going to the finals, but I don't think they're gonna win it. I think I've said it since day one. I think the Clippers are gonna win it. They have a really good bench. They have a good coach. Kawhi Leonard's a beast in the playoffs as always. That's not gonna change with this. So I had the Clippers going all the way still, but I think it would be cool to see a Lakers Celtics. I would not be opposed to that at all.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like the
I agree
Lakers are gonna die out, dude.
I think they will too. They can't match the Clippers. The Clippers have a really good bench. They have everything. They check off every box.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I agree
Go
with
ahead.
GRD. Home court is out of the picture because there's no fans and you're playing all in the same court. So it's really just any team for itself. And like GRD said, I think the teams that during those 8 games they play for the rest of their schedule, that's like testing the waters. All it is going to be, let's get the team back together. Let's see how we run formations and how we feel, getting back and playing basketball for the first time in 3 months.
Does Taco Fall play in a playoff game this year?
Yeah.
I think it
That
depends.
would be amazing.
I think it depends if they're up by like 20, 30, 40. Like, it depends.
I feel like even still he wouldn't because there's no fans there. There's no 2 fat asses in taco suits there to encourage it. So I feel like he won't play, but we'll see.
I feel like anything could
He's
happen.
practicing his 3-point shot. Did
Yeah,
you see that?
What did Ainge say? It was like Tatum, Taco Tatum, I think. That's what he said.
Yep.
I mean, Taco could do anything. I mean, I really hope he makes it in the playoffs, but I don't even know if he'll make that roster. Let's just start there. Like, does he even make that roster? But let's talk about that roster for a second. The Celtics could go out and sign a couple of guys if they wanted to. Do we think the Celtics go out and make any moves? Maybe bring in Isaiah Thomas back, Jamal Crawford, like some of those guys?
No, there's a reason.
Happen.
There's a reason why they're still free agents and nobody's picked them up yet. So they're not going to pick them up for the playoffs. You're not going to see that, especially with this long layoff of players not playing. It's just these teams don't have a lot of chemistry. Now you're bringing in a whole guy who needs to learn the system. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, I don't think it happens either. But Instagram's blowing up about the possibility of Isaiah Thomas coming back. And don't get me wrong, I love Isaiah, but let's just be honest. Isaiah will never wear green again. Like, his time happened. It sucks. It sucks how it ended, but that's the truth. He went from an MVP candidate to a free agent that doesn't have a job, which sucks. But I mean, that's just how that's how the cookie crumbled, I guess. But talking about the playoffs again, we got Kyrie Irving, former Celtics point guard. It's pretty funny. Go from Isaiah Thomas to Kyrie Irving. So he came out and he said some stuff about the playoffs. He said that he didn't want to participate because he didn't support systematic racism. I know a lot of players have come out and said like we can use basketball to support the BLM movement. So I want to hear you guys' take on that. Like, is Kyrie in the right? Do you agree with the players that oppose him?
I mean, I feel like it's a very ignorant statement for me to say like Kyrie's fucking stupid. So I'm not gonna say that. But I feel like there is a different way that he could go about this. I feel like he should play, and I feel like if his team had Kevin Durant and they were looking at the playoffs like they might have a chance, example, if this was next year, I feel like he would not even be bringing this up, but that's just my ignorant take.
No, I mean, I think this is all kind of I think Kyrie's in the wrong here. First, these guys need to play to get paid, but Kyrie doesn't. So he's not even going to play anyways because he's hurt, and he's still going to get paid. And if these other guys don't play, they're not going to get paid. So that's why I think they are going to play anyways. The other thing is he talks about like wanting to spread the message of like the Black Lives Matter thing, and he said he'd give up everything for basketball. But like, there's no sports going on, and you can wear a I Can't Breathe t-shirt warm-ups. You can talk about it press conferences. You can wear hats. You could spread awareness like no tomorrow because everybody's going to be glued to their TV because they haven't had sports for 4 months. So this is a great platform for him, and I don't know why he doesn't understand that.
I mean, here's my take on it. I think Kyrie Irving, we know he has some pretty crazy takes from the flat earth to, just his time in Boston. I mean, I'll be honest, like, it's the truth. And, if this is what he thinks is best, I mean, cool. I mean, go with it, I guess. But that being said, too, is you got to think, if you go to the NBA, the entire media spotlight is on you. You're the second biggest sport behind the NFL in America. So if you go there, you have, the NBA people forget they created the tunnel entrance. You wear whatever you want. I mean, Westbrook, he makes headlines almost every night with what he wears, So you could have going like that, like Caiden said, wear like an I Can't Breathe t-shirt or a Justice for George Floyd, like whatever you want to wear. Going in and going to the press conferences, do that to support yourself. And then on top of that, the spotlight's right on you. So you have this whole platform to talk about. And I don't get it. I know Austin Rivers was someone that was very vocal about it. I think he took to Instagram yesterday and just said, like, I don't support it because, like, we can use this whole media outlet from the NBA to go on and talk about it and continue to bring justice for George Floyd. That was his take. I mean, I don't know. Kyrie just, I don't know if it's like what goes through his head sometimes, because, and I don't mean to say that like an ignorant way, but like some of the ways how he thinks about stuff, it's like, why is that better than the alternative? You know what I mean? Like,
he tries to be too woke, I think. He tries to be.
It's like he tries to do too much of good at once. I don't know.
The other thing about that meeting that he had, the whole 80-team player meeting, there's 9 players on the council, like the MBAPA council thing. Kyrie's one of them, but one of the guys is also Jaylen Brown, and Jaylen Brown wasn't in that call that Kyrie put out, so not everybody's behind him. And the other thing with like the whole systematic racism, and he said something about like the white owners using them or something. I don't understand that either, because if the white owners were using you, they wouldn't be paying you millions of dollars to play a child's game.
Yeah, I mean, I respect his decision. Like, whatever he wants to do, that's cool. Like, if you don't want to do it, don't go. But there are plenty of other people that want to go to Orlando. They want to play. So, I mean, he's kind of feel like he's speaking for everyone, and he shouldn't be, because there's a lot of different opinions.
He needs to just speak for himself. But, I mean, if it's his opinion, then it's his opinion. I respect that. But, like you said, Jake, there's other people that don't, and they want to play. So they have the right to their own opinion as well. And if they want to play, then they can play.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff going on in the NBA. NBA basketball looks like it's finally coming back. Looks like a month and a half. Today's June 14th, so only cracking up to when the NBA comes back. GRD, thank you for coming on the podcast. I know you're just as excited as I am, if not more, for Celtics basketball to be back. So thanks for coming on, GRD.
All right, guys, have a good day. Take care. Thank you guys for having me on. I'll talk to you guys soon.
See you
later, GRD.
So that was GRD. I mean, I know GRD, he's just as excited for basketball. I mean, that guy lives and breathes Celtics basketball. So, me awesome with Celtics basketball.
I'm pretty sure he bleeds green.
He does bleed green. There's no way he doesn't. He's like a little leprechaun. But moving on to our next topics. These are not basketball related. But going to the MLB, okay. Can we just talk about how much of a joke the MLB draft is? Like, that's an
So you put that out there, right? We have the text chat. We text and come up with the topic for the week, and you said the MLB is a joke, and I was coming.
No, I said the MLB draft.
All right, yeah, okay. MLB draft, same thing. So
the MLB draft.
Okay,
the draft is a joke.
I was coming home from golf yesterday, and I read it, and I'm trying to think like, what is a joke about the MLB draft? Like, what do you mean by that? What do you think is a joke?
So this is why it's a joke. Okay. You have the draft, guys a lot of these guys are 15, 16, in high school still. Some of them are down in Dominican and other places as well. And these players, still have to finish high school. Some of them, I'm not saying all of them, some of them have to finish high school. Then they're going to go off to college. And who knows how good they're going to be. They might suck, and then they don't even play. A lot of these players literally won't even make it to the MLB. So it's like, oh, we picked up this second base from ASU. And it's like, but then he never makes it to the majors. So it's like these guys that you drafted, if you do see them actually come up to your team, they won't be at your team for at least 5-6 years. So I don't take the MLB draft literally, or I don't take it as serious as something like the NFL draft, which the first round players all play right away, usually. The NBA draft, the hockey draft, those drafts are more serious than the MLB. I think the MLB draft is last in all four sports.
See, Lane, I get like your whole take about the high school and stuff, but couldn't you say the same thing about the NHL draft? We saw Jacob Forsbacka Carlson. He didn't come up. He got drafted, and he was in the AHL for like 2 to 3 years. And he bounced around a little bit to the black and gold, but couldn't you say the same thing? It takes a couple years for him to develop, and
I would say football. The football draft is obviously the most serious to me. Football and basketball. I look at hockey. I would say it's in between where baseball and basketball, football is. I think a lot of those players at least go to the AHL and then they can go up from there. Where baseball, it's like these guys are in high school or in college, haven't finished, so I think there's a lot of players that you draft and it's like you won't see these guys at all for 5 years. You might not even see them, period. Where at least hockey, usually eventually you see them.
Yeah, there was a person that I know, or like my dad, my dad was good friends with the family, and he got drafted like his junior year of high school, and then didn't go. Then went to graduated early. Went to South Carolina. Was a quarterback for South Carolina and played baseball. Then transferred to Cal. Like he doesn't even play baseball, or he plays baseball, but he's still like he didn't go to the league because he wanted to finish out school.
This is my whole thing with baseball. I mean, it's cool, like, and I support everyone that's in the minor league system and trying to work your way up because, I mean, I know how hard it is. I've talked to people and, like, they tell me, like, the hardest thing ever is to play minor league baseball. It's awful. But that being said, I mean, I'm sorry, but I go to the Lowell Spinners, and a lot of those guys, they're not going to make it up there, which sucks because, that's like their dream, and they're so close, but they're going to fall up short. That you can go for any minor league team, It's just how baseball is because there's so many people trying to go for it, and there's so little spots, I feel like. And just a draft, like, when I say it's a joke, like, when I watch the NBA and NFL draft, like, perfect example, this year with the NBA, literally look at the Pelicans. I know they made the trade for Anthony Davis, but look at how good they are with Zion. Another example, Grizzlies with John Morant. Like, who the hell saw John Morant breaking out this year and carrying the Grizzlies to a playoff spot? I certainly didn't. So I look at it like that, and I'm like, the NBA draft and the NFL draft, like, that can turn a team around. Look at the Bengals. They just got Joe Burrow. Like, that could literally turn around that entire franchise and start, to win games and maybe even make a Super Bowl appearance down the line.
Jake, there's 7 rounds in NFL. I mean, I do agree the NFL is the most, like, important, so to speak. Like, the players have the most immediate impact because college kind of is the minors here. But there's a lot of players, like, in the 6th and 7th round who get drafted who get cut in training camp. Like, they don't even make
I'm just talking first round. Like, I just brought up 2 players from the NFL and NBA from the first round. I'm not talking about the later rounds. Because the NBA only has 2 rounds in the draft. Going back real quick to the NBA, look at guys. We could go back to, like, the 90s when you had guys like KG and Kobe. They came out of high school, and they literally turned around franchises. I know Kobe had Shaq, but look at KG. KG was basically his show. I think Stephen Marbury was on the team back in the 90s, and he was an MVP candidate and won MVP by 2003. He was in the league for, like, not even 10 years.
Well, what's crazy is, like, the Red Sox draft, let's say they draft, a guy this year. They could have 5 more drafts before you even see that guy actually even play. If you ever see him play, that's crazy to me. To sit there and why would you want to watch a draft and go, okay, we picked up Joe Schmo, and then all of a sudden you've watched 5 more drafts 5 years later, and Joe Schmo's never played. I don't find that entertaining. No one sits there and goes, hey guys, let's all get together. The baseball draft's coming on. No one does that. You do that for the NFL draft. You do that for the NBA draft. Hockey, probably not either, but it's a little more meaningful in baseball. Baseball, no one watches the baseball draft.
So no one sits there too. I just want to spin this around. I've watched a lot of interviews with, like, a lot of the nationally televised guys. Like, for example, is Colin Howard. He was on Felger and Mass for the Super Bowl week, And he was talking about how it's really hard to talk about the NHL and MLB nationally because they're just so dead sometimes. I mean, NHL is easy to do in the playoffs, but MLB is really hard to talk about unless if it's like Game 7 of the World Series nationally. So I have a question for you guys. Since they don't get talked about a lot, does that ruin the draft? Like, does it ruin the hype of the draft?
The
Because
MLB draft?
NBA, NFL, they get talked about a lot, and they're these huge things in the top two sports industries in the country, and the draft is like so hyped up, and everyone wants to watch the draft.
No,
Like
what ruins the draft is the fact that the NFL and NBA, the draft is impactful right away with players. That makes the draft meaningful. I think with hockey and MLB especially, the players, like I said, they could never play or play 5-6 years from now. So why am I going to want to watch the draft where it's not impactful right away?
I think it's not impactful I think it's not a major thing for most people because there's like 3,000 rounds in it. I think it's more of a thing this year, one, because of whole coronavirus and no sports. But the other thing I was kind of more interested in, and I kind of tracked it a little bit, was because there's only like 5 rounds, so it was way easier to follow. And but the other thing is we're Red Sox fans, right? So if you're a Tigers fan, you had the first overall pick, I believe, like in the last 2 years, right? So they drafted Casey Mize last year, and then the pitcher from Auburn, and then this guy, first baseman, I have no idea how to pronounce his name, out of ASU, and they said this guy's going to be like immediate up in the majors. So I think like if we were fans of like the Detroit Tigers, the draft would be a lot bigger for us. Like think about it in the NFL. How many times were you like the guy got drafted for the Patriots and you were like, who? Like, who is this guy?
Well,
but if you were a Browns fan, you'd be like, hell yeah, we got like Myles Garrett, we got Baker Mayfield.
Well, you know what makes it less meaningful too is how many people actually watch college football and college basketball? A lot. And you know the players. You usually know the big names, especially on the big teams and stuff like that. Who watches college baseball and really follows and knows all these guys' names and how well they play and, you know, how many home runs they hit that year, unless you see the stat lines. So you sit there, even if you had the first draft pick every year, you'd sit there and go, oh, yeah, we drafted who? Who's this guy? Most of the time, you don't even know who they are. Unless you watch college baseball itself every year and you watch high school baseball, because some of these players are high school players, you can't get excited for someone you don't know or someone you haven't watched sort of play the game for 3-4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that college basketball and football, they do play for 3 or 4 years, but at least you've seen them play the game. And so I think that brings more of an attraction to the draft.
Yeah, I mean, and it depends. It's all money too, because if you think about it, the NBA and NBA and NFL are definitely bigger sports, more popular, and obviously would bring in more money. And nobody's watching teenage European basketball. So before this, nobody really followed Luka Doncic. I mean, they knew he was a good player because of the media attention, but nobody was, paying for overseas TV to watch Real Madrid play basketball. And that's the reason why, because of this whole hyped up stuff and the amount of media attention these leagues get, that these overseas guys get so much attention too. I think we got to account for that. The other thing, Jake, you said about the value of like a first round pick, right? And the chances these guys make, and you said, it takes a while for these guys to make it, and a lot of them don't. Well, I just looked up here, and about 75% of first-round draft picks reach the majors. So, I mean, it's still they still got a pretty good shot. I mean, I think you could say the same thing. Like, a first-round pick, like, there's no guarantee that guy is going to make it. And what's the difference for him if he's out in a year anyway and only played 2 games? It's kind of the same deal. He didn't have an impact on the team.
Yeah, but how long did those players take to get up there? I'm talking about, for example, look at the players that got drafted from the NFL or NBA and made an immediate impact to their team. I'll bring up another example. We can talk about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. The Celtics picked up both of those guys 3rd overall, and where are they at? Another one you look at the Sixers. They picked up Ben Simmons. Also, they had Joel Embiid, but he was kind of hurt. And that first season they were together, it wasn't really a good fit really, but they still did good. They had Ben Simmons, so those guys made immediate impacts to the teams. And we can go back even further. De'Aaron Fox with the Kings. Obviously, they haven't really made the playoffs because they suck, but they've gotten progressively better, and he's turned into a good player. Those guys make immediate impact to the team. Those MLB guys, okay, fine, 75% they make it, right? So the odds are kind of against you. But to even look at it like that, how long did it take them to make an impact? It had to take at least 5 years.
It's not even – I don't even think it's just the length of and not knowing the players and watching them really play the game. I also think the fact is some of these guys, they play dual sports, like we mentioned before. And, you look at, like, players like what's the guy down in Kyle Murray, right? He played baseball. He got drafted from I forget which team drafted him. Was it the A's?
Yeah.
And he goes and plays football. So it's like here you are. You drafted this guy who's amazing at baseball, and he goes and plays football.
And you wasted your 9th overall pick on him too. It wasn't like
you draft these. So there's another first rounder that gets drafted, get all excited, and then the guy doesn't even play the sport. So it's like, I think that's a huge turnoff.
Yeah, I mean the game
thing too. There's not to cut you off, Caiden. I just want to add to Lane's point with a guy like Kyle Murray. Like those guys, it's always such a gray area to me in the MLB draft because Nick Yorker, the guy the Sox picked up 17th overall, he's committed to ASU. Arizona. I think, what is it? University of Arizona. I don't know, the one Gronk went to. He's committed there. So now if he goes to Arizona, do the Sox still have rights to him? Does he have to re-enter the draft? Like, I don't understand how that works.
He can re-enter the draft, I think.
Okay, so now the Sox just wasted a pick. So they just wasted a pick on that guy. You know what I mean?
Stupid.
Like, those rules itself, like, if you love baseball and you like watching the draft, that's cool, and that makes it not a joke. But those rules exactly like that just make the whole draft such a joke because I can literally I can waste the first overall pick on somebody just to have them say, no, I'm going to college.
No, he's not.
That's not right at all. That's
that
not
guy they drafted. You're not going to see first rounders doing that because they get the amount of money they get. They won't go back to school. That kid probably thinks the chances of him getting drafted that high in the first round again, you pretty much get drafted in the top half of the first round. You're making a shit ton of money just on signing bonuses alone.
Yeah, but there's that huge if possibility, like he could go to college and not play for us ever, and we might just lose a pick. Why would you do that? Like that's the stuff where I'm like, that makes no sense to me. And going back to Kyler Murray, the 9th overall pick for the A's, that's huge. The 9th overall pick, and they're I put waste in quotes because they did pick someone, but no, he's in the NFL. He's not playing for you guys. Hell, he's not even playing in the same state and football. So it's like, I don't know, those little rules where it's like, yeah, if you get drafted, you don't have to go. Like, that doesn't happen in the NBA. If the NBA, you can be drafted and not put on the team, but you have to be signed to a contract. You can't. It's not up to you to say, yeah, I don't want to come.
Yeah, the other thing is, like, the game has changed so much just, like, physically that we don't see the guys like Bo Jackson. That guy, he played for the Raiders, and then he didn't do any spring ball or anything like that and just went on to the Royals. Like, these guys can't do it anymore, so that's why you see a lot of these dual athletes. Like, if this was back 30 years ago, Kyler Murray would play for the A's and the Cardinals. 100%.
Yeah,
he would have made more money with baseball, which is crazy.
Yeah, he would have made a lot more money with baseball.
But it comes down to, too, like, are you going to be happy, I guess, too? I mean, you can't put a price on that. I mean, he's playing football and playing baseball. I'm sorry. Like, I like baseball, but I am not passing up an NFL job to go try and get an MLB spot.
That's
why
like,
come on.
That's why I think that's why he chose the NFL.
I mean, you can go to the MLB, and if you're a top player like a Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, and you get paid that, what did Mike Trout get? He got or Bryce Harper, he just signed. It was like $450 over 12 years. Can you imagine? $450 over 12 years? That's
I don't
insane.
think it was that high.
I thought it was.
It was $420, I think.
Okay, $420. I'm sorry. So $420 over 12 years. Oh my God, I couldn't even imagine. But
baseball pays the most out of all the sports.
Yeah, because there's no salary cap.
But also look at Bryce Harper, and he's just a complete meathead, and it just has a hot head, and So would you rather get paid that much and be? I mean, I don't know. I think he's miserable because of his actions. Actions speak louder than words. Or would you rather be like Kyler Murray and go do something that you like?
And I think one of the reasons why Kyler Murray chose football was because even though he was such a high draft pick, he still had to go in the minors. And that's like a thing. He could play right away for football, and that's what he didn't want to do with baseball because that's what he couldn't do. So that's why he didn't pick baseball.
I don't know. To make a long story short, the MLB draft is just a complete joke, in my opinion.
I agree.
Just all those gray spots and all those little rules, it just makes it like, why am I watching this? Why am I even reporting about it? But going on to our next topic, it's been reported that somebody on the Bruins actually got COVID-19. What do we think about this? Like, is this going to impact the NHL and how they come back? Like, do they not come back?
I believe he's clear now, right? He doesn't have it anymore.
Okay, so when did he have it? That's my question. Because I thought he got it recently.
I'm not sure. But I will say this. I think what worries me as a sports fan and a huge Bruins fan, I mean, in general, we're just speaking in general, broad. What scares me is what if these teams start playing, right? Or we're getting close to, phase 3 where all teams are practicing together, and phase 4 is when they could start the tournament, as we so called it. What if some of these players start breaking out and get COVID-19? And are we going to just see a halt again?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that in terms of that person, whoever that was, got coronavirus, that's not going to change anything. I don't think, because I think you expect a couple guys to get it. It's just for the point where you can't have a breakout. And how you combat that, there's no one word answer for this, but you test them every other day, whatever it is. And then if they show any symptoms, they got to get quarantined and they can't, practice with the team. I think that's just the way you're going to do it. And I think you got to know that these guys are the top athletes in the world and the guys in the best shape. And the chances of them dying from it or even getting sick from it, like deathly ill from it, is super low. So even if they had it, they could still be asymptomatic, which is a good possibility.
I want to add on to that, though, that if you get it, they're saying that you could be contagious for up to 2 months. So I don't know. I thought he actually already had it. I still had it. I didn't know he was cured of it. So, but I mean, it depends how long ago he had it. Like, is he still contagious after 14 days? Because that was the original thought, but now they're saying you can be contagious up to 2 months.
The other thing I brought up on this podcast before about this whole Corona thing is these guys are going to be quarantined together. There's 30 of them, and they are like family. They see each other. They're going to see each other all the time and be with each other all the time. So eventually, they're not going to get sick from it, because you don't go in and you're not worried about hanging with your family because you're worried about getting coronavirus. It's because you see them all the time, so you're just together and you're not worried about that stuff, because that stuff can't happen.
I'm just afraid with the whole quarantining with everyone together, that if one person has it and it's really true that you can be contagious for 2 months, that's going to start
everyone.
So I mean, I know that
then you have no team. Then you have no team, and then what?
And then let's say, I mean, this is getting like what ifs, but let's say the NHL they can't have their season now because the whole league is contaminated. Now does the NBA, MLB, do they take a second look and be like, well, hold up, is this really right? Like, should we be doing this? So then it's
I think that does happen. That's scary, because then it's like now you're on hold again. And then I think if that happens and that's what we see, I think the season's done. I don't think you try to reamp it. Yeah, you write it off right then and there.
Yeah, because if you keep pushing it, you can't push it any more than it is, because you'd be affecting next season.
You're already affecting next season. I mean, look at the NBA. I don't know the NHL schedule, but the NBA has literally exact dates. They have October 17th is the latest possible date for Game 7 of the NBA Finals. October 17th. Can we talk about that for a second? October, the finals. We're supposed to be starting in October. Then a couple of days later, I believe you have the lottery, and then a couple of days after that, you have the draft, which is already crazy because usually with the lottery, it's like lottery's in mid-May, and then the draft is like end of June, so you have almost a whole month to prepare for the draft. Now you're going to have a couple days. Then on top of that, you're going to have training camp, I think middle of November, so the players only get like a month off, and then mid-November. I think December 1st is when they're going to start. So, I mean, you're already 2 months behind at that point.
I mean, it just looks like you're going to have
most of the
LeBron
players
taking a lot of load management days.
You look at it though. I don't think they need much time off because I look at this as the off season right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? We haven't played in 3 months. They're not going to end up playing until end of July, earliest possible date, right? Yeah. So you look at that and you go, okay, 4 or 5 months off. That's what the off season is, right? June to July, August, September, October. So a little longer than the off season. They're having their off season right now. So you're basically going to end the season, like you said, have the lottery and draft, maybe, a month of training camp, and you sort of go right into the next season, which is going to be shortened. So
we got to think about real quick though. The month of September, the middle to the end of the month of September, is going to be so good because we're going to have NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, and the NFL, and maybe baseball.
No, you're not going to have baseball. I'll tell you that right now. I think baseball's done. They're voting. I think they're voting on it this week. And I think if it doesn't pass this week, baseball's done for the year.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about baseball in 1 second, but just to wrap this up real quick, I hate talking about this topic with sports and COVID because there are so many what ifs with it. Like, okay, we could say, okay, what if that Bruins player is contagious for 2 months? Okay, what if he can and then it's like, then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're talking about like what ifs for like hours talking about this, and it happens. I've been talking to people about it, and we just ramble on about, oh, what if, and it's this whole, and then at the end of it, you're like, yeah, that was stupid. Like, there's nothing that can actually happen from it. So, whatever happens, it's either going to be good or really bad. Like, there's no in the middle. So I mean, it sucks, but we got to move on real quick. To the MLB. This is a huge what if. Speaking of what ifs, the MLB is reportedly the commissioner, Rob Manfred. He supposedly has a letter from the Yankees that was talking about sign stealing, and he was covering up their tracks. And I just looked it up real quick. Rob Manfred is from Rome, New York, so he has to be a Yankees fan, right? We'll just say that he has to be a Yankees fan if you're from New York. So did he really cover up the tracks of the Yankees?
If he did, he's out.
He's so done. Corrupt. That is crazy.
I mean, maybe he did, but that letter, I think a lot of that letter, from what I'm reading, has already been leaked. Like people know about it. I don't think you're gonna find a lot of it, and he's not gonna get. If they do find anything, he's not going to get exposed because there's like this law or something they can do, and they can have their names covered up.
What's this law that you're talking about?
I've never heard that law, but
I'm curious. This law.
It's I don't know if it's a law. I read it here. I'm gonna try to pull it up. You guys can keep talking.
I want to say this. Rob Manfred. I think that's how you say his name. I don't even know if that's how you say it. But honestly, if you did that, if you covered up the tracks, man-child, all right, whatever it is. So if you covered up the tracks of the Yankees and then you tried to put it on the Red Sox, do you know how bad that looks?
It's awful. That's why he's
the Red Sox rivalry is crazy. It's the best rivalry in sports. We'll just say that, right?
Yeah.
So if you already tried to take something and put it on the Red Sox, and we've seen this happen before with the Patriots. That somebody tries to screw over the Patriots, and what do the Patriots do? It's us against them. So if you do that, do you realize how messed up that is? You're literally I don't want to say framing because I know that the Sox did have some stuff to do with it. I think in the end, but you covered up one team's track and you expose another. That looks so bad.
I don't care what law Caiden finds. You exposed yourself as a commissioner, and you're a fraud, and no one will ever take you seriously again.
It's not a law, but it's a rule. It's a rule of some point. Of some sort. It's not a law for people. It's just a rule.
Wait, it says, what in the MLB and the
MLB? Yeah, I don't know where it is, but it's a rule. I guess I'm gonna read you what this is from ESPN. MLB and the Yankees may submit a minimally redacted version of the letter to protect the identity of the individuals mentioned by noon Eastern time on Monday as part of the proceedings in a lawsuit brought against the league by daily fantasy sports contestants. The Yankees argue the letter would cause significant reputational injury. Judge Jed Rankoff said that in order, and the letter is not to be unsealed until June 19th, so the teams have enough time to make an emergency appeal. So basically, basically there's a rule that the names could get
redacted.
Yeah, redacted. So he wouldn't get in trouble anyways. I mean, there's going to be speculation, and there's always going to be speculation because you're never going to see the names of it. So he's just kind of going to have that dark cloud over him, but nothing's ever going to come.
He needs to resign then. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Crazy.
That's ridiculous. Like,
why should he resign? You're never going to know that it's him, and you're never going to be able to prove that.
You're never going to be able to prove it, but people are going to be like, yeah, you did it. Like, it's kind of like.
But you know how many people hate Roger Goodell, and I guarantee you he's never going to resign.
Goodell, as much of a bad commissioner he has done nothing to this extreme. All the things he got the Patriots with, I mean, yeah, okay, they did it. We'll just say that. They did it, okay? The Deflategate, Spygate, whatever. They probably did it, and he didn't frame them, okay? He didn't try to cover up anyone's track to make sure it went all on the Patriots. Deflategate, you could kind of spin that a little bit, but that's besides the point. The MLB commissioner tried to cover up the tracks.
You're never gonna.
That's ridiculous.
You're never gonna be.
Come on.
My point here. You're never gonna be able to prove that. So he's just gonna kind of. People are still gonna blame him for that. But in 10, 15, or 10 years, when everybody's stealing signs anyway, and in 5-10 years, all this stuff, people are gonna forget about it, and he's not gonna have to deal with it. This is just gonna be a thing. For maybe even a year, people are going to be like, oh, Rob Manfred covered up the Yankees. But he can be like, oh, yeah, so whatever. Like, prove it. You won't be. Nobody's going to be able to prove it. It's not a big deal.
If he says that, I want to say this, though. If he says that, prove it, then that's an automatically no, like, okay, you did it. Because if you tell me, prove it, like, that's saying I can't prove it.
He's not going to come out and say, prove it. But, like, you know what I mean. Like,
but if he has an action like that, like, this whole thing
people are never going to be able to prove it, so he's going to be fine.
This whole thing makes me so mad because I think what ended up coming out was this whole thing is just mad confusing from all aspects of it. I think what happened was the Red Sox, I don't think they got caught with anything, right?
No, they did.
They did? Okay. So we ended up losing our manager for it, which just sucks. That's awful.
In a second round draft pick.
In a second round draft pick. Okay. That sucks, right? But the Yankees on the other side, they could have done it, and they're not going to lose anything. Come on.
No, they're gonna get punished for it. They're gonna get punished for it if they get caught.
Just be no names.
But no names are gonna be revealed.
And that's ridiculous.
So the whole organization sucks.
You know how to have all this go away and make baseball good? Juice the balls, legalize steroids, and legalize sign stealing. Because we're gonna have the best baseball ever. You want to make baseball fun again? You want to make people like us here on the podcast interested in baseball again? And not make it so boring.
Hold on, don't speak for me. That would make me less interested in baseball. Let me just say that.
Well, because you're a loser.
Don't say that. That would make me less interested.
But juice up the steroids, or let the players get juiced up. Put steroids in the balls. You know what I mean? Juice up the balls.
Steroids in the balls.
imagine they had ball steroids and they maybe that's what they're doing when they say juice up the balls. They're putting MLB steroids in the balls.
There is nothing better. I'm just gonna say this. There is nothing better than watching a low-scoring game with amazing field. I'll just say that if you're at Fenway and you're watching a really good game with not a lot of hitting, but just amazing play in the field, how can you not like that? Come on, that's perfect.
No, I'm saying for like the younger.
In the balls.
Have you ever been to a no-hitter?
I've only been to a handful of Sox games, so I've never.
I've been to a no-hitter and a one-hitter, and those games sucked.
What? How can you say they sucked? That's like a once in a lifetime opportunity to see someone throw a no-hitter, or even a
one-hitter sucked.
Were you in Oakland or something, or are you talking about like you saw us pitch a no-hitter?
No, I watched. No, it was a one-hitter. It was the Tigers played the Sox.
I would love to go to a no-hitter. That'd be cool.
And it was a one. Yeah, no-hitters are cool, but one-hitter, two-hitters suck.
Oh yeah, there's no action.
Even five-hitters. So what if everybody knew that this, like, how more impressive like a no-hitter would be then? How much cooler that would be? These players are juicing. The balls are juiced. And they're stealing signs, and you can still pitch a no-hitter.
I don't want to see baseball legalize steroids or juice the balls. Don't do that.
They did it. The MLB, I never watched it, back because I wasn't alive. But from what I hear and what I've seen like videos of, that game was so sick when you had Mark McGuire and Barry Bonds
Sammy Sosa going back.
Sammy Sosa. You had all these guys juicing, and it was
that was good. You know, back.
That's what we need to bring back to grow the sport
2000s.
because people love the long ball, dude.
Caiden is reminding me right now of like a drug dealer. He's like, you need to take this and everything will be fine. Like, I don't know. I don't agree with that at all. I like baseball how it is. If you don't like it, then you don't like baseball. That's my opinion.
Well, you know what? You know why? You know what? Then the sport's gonna die because because there's a younger generation and people don't enjoy that stuff. Listen, my sister I think is a great example with this here. She is not a sports fan at all. Like she whatever, because we'll watch sports will always be on in the house, and she plays soccer and stuff, but she doesn't really watch sports. And she said, I'll watch football, right? So she'll sit down with us occasionally and watch football. I said, Kendall, why would you watch football? She said, because there's always action. And the reason why I won't watch a baseball game is because it's 4 hours and there isn't always action. And she said, if there was, then I would love to go to baseball games.
She definitely doesn't watch golf or.
Oh no, oh my God, you should. She's pretty athletic, and you should watch her play golf. It's hilarious. But anyways, so for this younger generation, we need to have that stuff. We need to have more action. This girl will sit down with us and watch football a little bit, but she won't watch baseball because there's not action. So what do? We juice the balls, we legalize steroids, and you get more action. And the game will grow that way.
Steroids, though, like I could see juicing the balls, but legalizing steroids just seems like such like a legal problem.
How they're legal everywhere else?
Yeah, but it just seems like such a big thing where it'd be like you could literally just say, "Oh, you're only good because you're juiced, like because you juiced up." Like
people say the same thing about Barry Bonds. People say the same thing about Mark McGuire.
And it's put a tint on their careers, and also isn't there something too where they can't be inducted to the Hall of Fame because they use steroids?
Yeah,
so
but
I don't know. I don't know if there's a rule, but I mean, you basically won't.
But it's But if it's legal, then they would be able to because everybody's doing them. It's the same thing. It could be the same thing. Like right now, nobody's taking steroids, so it's the same game. If they legalize steroids, everybody's taking them, so everybody has the same advantage. Like it's not like one person had the same an advantage like 20 years ago.
I don't know. Just doing steroids just sound like sketchy to me. I don't know. Like, what do you think?
I mean, I'm up for more action. I think there's a lot of stuff that, it's definitely a pitching game now. But I think you just need to have a baseball season first before anything. You ask me. That's how baseball's dying.
See, Lane like is a younger guy. One of us, the younger people of the world here, and he said, "I want more action." So how do you get more action? You do all the things I said.
Put steroids in the balls.
Yep, steroids in the balls.
But then it's like it turns into, okay, who can hit the most home runs? Who can it doesn't turn into any skill at that point because anyone can take steroids and hit a ball.
I love watching baseball. If the Yankees lose, then I'm happy.
Jake, I would like to see you take a 95-mile-per-hour fastball, juice up as much as you want, take a 95-mile-per-hour fastball and hit it 400 feet. I guarantee you couldn't do it.
If I'm juiced up, I most certainly could. There's no way.
You're ridiculous. You juice your mind out, dude. You're never going to hit a 95-mile-per-hour fastball right down the middle.
You gotta work at that. You gotta work at that. But what I'm saying is that any of those minor league players, like it turns into like perfect guys are like, oh, that guy's amazing in the field, but he sucks at hitting. Or you have guys like take David Ortiz for example. That one of the best hitters to ever play the game. Really good hitter, right? But sucked in the field. So then if you juice up him, it takes away that thing where it's like, okay, now he's just good at everything. It's like you went on 2K. It's like you went on 2K and went on like the overall stats and just put everything up to 99, and you just have a perfect...
move the sliders around. But that makes it fun. That makes it fun, and because I just think because if everybody was doing it and everybody was using them, it'd be respected, and because even so, you think when the Sox won the World Series in 2013,
that was a great year.
There's always and there will ever be speculation of David Ortiz using steroids during that era. or that that time. He probably was, to be honest. You're at the end of your career and all of a sudden you bat 500 in the playoffs. Like, there's no doubt he was using steroids. And
but drug testing came back fine, so you can't really.
What?
Okay, this goes right back to the point before. This goes right back to your point before that you can always say, "Oh, yeah, he did it," but with a letter, he did it, but you can't prove it. That goes exactly back to that point, and that's why the MLB is dying. Right?
A thing,
not because of the no action, but because of little stuff like that.
I don't know. That's just my take on it. We just need to juice the balls, dude.
Final take: MLB is dying, and something needs to be done.
Yeah, juicing the balls. Juice the balls.
We just need baseball back. Let's just start there before we juice up the balls. Let's just get people on the diamond to start playing, because that's the problem with baseball right now, is that nobody's playing, and that the Players Association and the league are on two completely different pages.
They're talking about not making money. They're talking about not making money. Then you can have an underground black market there, and the players can become drug dealers on the side.
All right, this is getting ridiculous.
They just want to talk about drugging up the players, and now they're selling it. But guys, thanks for watching the Boston Power. Make sure you guys check us out on Instagram at the Boston Power Hour, at Masters Lane 182, Caiden _Bod, and Boston Sports Center 617. And I'm sure you guys all know who he is, but make sure you check out GRD on Instagram. Green Run Steve. I'm sure everyone knows who GRD is. But if you don't follow him, definitely give him a follow.
Leave a review and subscribe to our podcast on Apple. That'll make our whatever it's called. I don't know. Jake knows these words better than I do, but like the algorithm or something go up. So make sure you leave a review and a like or a follow.
5
stars. Yeah.
5 stars.
And we'll maybe in the near future we'll do like a giveaway or something. Do a leave a review or whatever, subscribe, and then we'll get picked out of a hat or whatever it is.
Not the end of the hat though. Not the end of the hat.
No.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.